EyeOnMuskegon.com. Listen again next week at this time for another segment of Clearly Community right here on your favorite Clear Channel media and entertainment radio station.
Look how sad your smartphone is because it doesn't have iHeartRadio. It can't listen to 1,500 live radio stations. It can't make its own custom music stations. It can't even use the Perfect 4 feature. No wonder it's sad. I may weep myself. But you can cheer that phone up. Download the iHeartRadio app now. It's free at iHeartRadio.com. iHeartRadio is now available on Roku.
This is Mike McCready, Pearl Jam's lead guitarist. For the last 24 years, I've been living with Crohn's disease, a chronic and often painful digestive disease. Luckily, I have my disease under control. But so many of the 1.4 million Americans living with Crohn's and a similar disease called ulcerative colitis live day to day not knowing when their disease will strike next. You can help by joining one of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation's 130 Take Steps walks. Sign up today at cctakesteps.org. Take a step, register today.
Fox News Radio, I'm Carol McHugh. In his first Sunday on the job, Pope Francis gave his first Angelus address to the tens of thousands gathered in St. Peter's Square. Earlier, he once again acted on his impulses.
Pope Francis again surprised all when earlier today he broke security protocol, joined the crowds, kissed the babies, shook the hands outside of his early morning mass at the Vatican. In his improvised homily, the 76-year-old Argentinian elected Pope last Wednesday said, God is forgiving and does not judge.
Fox's Courtney Walsh in Rome. The Pope later tweeted, telling followers, I thank you from my heart, and I ask you to continue to pray for me. Throwing red meat to her conservative fan base.
Barack Obama promised the most transparent administration ever. Barack Obama, you lie.
Former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin addressing the CPAC conference Saturday. Fox News. We report. You decide.
Dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you dadgum.
That dadgum government. Good morning, Muskegon. This is EyeOnMuskegon, and I'm Jim Riley, your fuzzy little friendly host, interested in engaging with everybody in our wonderful community. And I'm here in Muskegon's Clear Channel studios with my friend and engineer, the ever-ticking Oscar Osbo, the man who put the O in radio, as we all know. And sitting right beside me here so that we can have a stellar video of this show on Mondays from 8 to 9:30.
Without my 44-ounce cup in front of my face.
HD, yes. Flaunting Mayor Bloomberg's rules against unhealthy portions is gentleman farmer, sea captain, Captain Fred Birch. And good morning,
Good
Fred
morning,
and Oscar.
and good morning to both of you.
And, hey, we do not, and I did this on purpose because I knew I had such a brilliant set of IQs all floating around this studio this morning. We don't have a guest.
Anyway.
We have no plan for this morning.
That's right.
Pretty much. So, Oscar, let's go back with the music. No, we do. We're not going to have a guest because there are just too many things on the plate here. But that means that you can phone in. The number, 231-830-3109. And, if you forget this number, which certainly is easy to do, you can always find it if you go online to EyeOnMuskegon.com, and that's EYE on Muskegon, all one word, .com, and that number's, I think it's up there on the left side of the of the blog. And, of course, we do post the video or the audio of the show initially, and then if Oscar can overcome his techno problems, we do post the video there too. So if you need information, we got it for you. Also, on the right-hand column of that EyeOnMuskegon.com blog is a listing of the phone numbers, the most recent ones we can find, and the email addresses of our elected representatives here in Muskegon County. So that would include our Republican state senator, Jeff Hansen. Our two Democrat elected state representatives, Marcia Hovey-Wright and the new one, Colleen Lamonte, and all 9 of our county commissioners. So if you're interested in contacting them.
Are you not going to go through their names?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'll let the folks who hit that blog go do that. And the reason I mention that is because we were talking off air before the show. What can we do? What possible things can we do to stave off some of the negative repercussions of spending and other bonehead decisions that are made on it seems like almost a minutely basis by our leaders? And one of the things that you can do is pick up the phone and call them. You really ought to be calling your city and township folks too, if you are not happy with the decision that they've made, or you'd like to congratulate them or support them in a tough decision that they may have been made.
Absolutely.
So, hey, one of the things I always like to do if I can is start off with a quote, or at least maybe not start off, but at some point early in the show. And this is from Thomas Paine, someone from the revolutionary days. Hopefully most of you listening out there are familiar with Tom Paine. But this is a quote that I think really does matter. It says, quote, "If there must be trouble, let it be in my day, that my child may have peace." And the reason I bring that quote up is that what are we doing to our children and grandchildren? We are taking the trouble that we ought to be facing today, and that is making sure that we're paying for what we're spending, and we are putting it down the road so that our children and grandchildren will not be in peace, so that they will not only have to pay for whatever is necessary in police and other public services that they may need at the time, but they'll also have to pay for those services that we have decided to take and given them the bill.
Well, it's kind of interesting because that goes hand in hand with the Adams quote, which I can't quote totally, but essentially he said that he studied war and politics and economics so that his children could study engineering,
yes,
and then his grandchildren could study arts and humanities. And well, we've pretty well passed the time where his grandchildren have grown, and now we are studying basket weaving.
Well,
and things.
I don't disagree with you. Matter of fact, I think that's a great quote. Sometimes one would wish that our students were studying basket weaving. Here's a couple of interesting articles that I have put on my show prep. By the way, this EyeOnMuskegon website, I do put my show prep on. And in a quasi-organized fashion, if you're so inclined, you can look at the links.
That was me snorting.
There we go. Well, it is. I take a little bit of time. I'm kind of proud of this. But you can also get it on the MuskegonPundit.com. But University of Texas, or University of Tennessee, is using student fees, which are essentially, they force you to pay the student fees, so it's a cost of going to the university, to pay for a lesbian bondage expert to come in and to make a presentation. So in other words, you don't
what is she doing?
Pay at the door.
Tying knots or something?
Let me tell you, I
you
don't
can go to the Boy Scouts for that if you want.
I can't tell you for sure, but I can read off to you most of the things that are listed here. There are apparently 30 events planned. Again, this is the University of Tennessee is paying or requiring students, so whether you attend or not, to pay for this lesbian bondage expert. And some of the events are, quote, number one, getting laid. Another one, sex positively, queer as a verb. That's all apparently one of the events. Here's one that I think, I don't know, perhaps if you were a dog owner, you might be interested in this. Bow Chicka Bow Wow. W-O-A-H. Bow Chicka Bow Wow. Bow Wah? I don't know. Anyway, that apparently is of interest to certainly
like
folks.
a porno tune, I think?
I don't.
Quite honestly, I am speechless.
Well, here's another. Loud and queer, and how many licks does it take? A workshop about oral sex. So this is you
can't make this. You can't make this.
You
stuff
denigrate.
No.
You denigrate.
Truth is stranger than fiction these days. You cannot make this stuff up.
You denigrate basket weaving and
underwater basket weaving.
Well, there we go.
Is this like the David Letterman show we're doing right now, or what? I don't know.
Next thing
honestly,
you know,
I wish, but this is what's going on at a time when we're being told by literally everybody from the President of the United States all the way on down that governments are lean and mean. They've cut to the bone. They've cut to the grizzle. There's nothing that they could cut any longer because they're just so wise with the monies that they are taking from you, literally at the point of a gun. And the reason I say that is try not paying your taxes and see what happens. They will come to your house with a gun and take your house and a variety of other things that you probably would prefer they didn't take. So
talk to Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. If you don't pay your taxes, and I think most of us agree you ought to pay your taxes, but I do think that some of us, and sadly not most, but some of us think that our government ought to be a little wiser in how they spend their money.
Interestingly, read an article the other day about Detroit where you've got somewhere around 50% of the landowners, the property owners in Detroit, do not pay their taxes any longer.
Right.
And when
they've just chosen to flat out not pay them, and the city's aware of it too.
Exactly, and they're aware of it. And when asked about it, some of the prominent property owners said, "Well, it doesn't make any sense for me to pay the property taxes because if they seize my property, then I go to the auction and I buy it back at a lower price than what the taxes would be. And in most cases, the city just doesn't bother to seize property anymore.
It's the new American way.
Yeah, this is again, truth is stranger than fiction. You can't make this stuff up. Not in my wildest dreams. I couldn't write a novel about this stuff.
Honestly, if you did write a novel about it, it would not sell because people like me and others who do buy novels would say this is ridiculous. This could never happen. But in fact, the same example you gave in just a little form is being done now all over the country and has been, I guess, now for some years. And that is if your house has been foreclosed upon, in particular if you had a government guaranteed mortgage, if you can get a friend or relative to buy your house in foreclosure, and then you can buy their house in foreclosure, you can end up freed of all back taxes. You can end up buying the same house and freed of the mortgage, and buying the same house and essentially staying in the same house because who knows who lives where, at a significantly reduced cost. This is a scam that is very popular within the cities. It is actually actively being proposed by government employees within these various cities.
Yeah, and we're paying, and they're being paid. The government employees are being paid by your tax dollars in order to ensure that we don't get the tax dollars that we would have gotten otherwise. And this all leads to my next little comment, which is that another article that I read recently said that 3/4 of the counties in the United States are in trouble financially, perhaps not to the point where they're going to collapse, but are in trouble. And people moving out, gentrification, all of these different issues that go on with counties, and we're talking counties. And remember that counties,
3/4 of the counties in the United States.
In the United States, and if you think about the fact that counties and municipalities can in fact go bankrupt.
Well, we have one right here in the Muskegon Heights School District.
When they go bankrupt, what ends up happening is that contracts are all renegotiated, all reopened. So, we have this big flood.
You mean employee contracts?
Employee contracts, all contracts.
Any contract.
Any contracts.
If I'm providing
bankruptcy court.
Electricity or whatever.
When Governor Snyder appointed our friend to become the emergency manager of Detroit, the first thing he said was, we're going to go in here, we're going to try to manage this stuff, and we aren't going to try to renegotiate the pensions, etc. But you know what? If I have to, I'll take the city through bankruptcy, and you don't want that because I understand what bankruptcy is all about, and I'll just renegotiate all the contracts, including pensions, etc. So here we are. We're going down this road. When things start to collapse, or if they start to collapse, and they are collapsing in various places like Detroit, the people that think that they are safe, that they have lots and lots of safeguards for them, in actuality, if the cities or the counties or whatever go bankrupt, there are no safeguards.
Well, you're 100% right, and not only are there no safeguards, it's totally uncharted territory because we don't really know. There have been a few cities and a few counties that are on the brink of declaring bankruptcy. I think most of us here, certainly in Muskegon, and I would imagine in the rest of Michigan, realize that nothing good can come of what we have allowed, or at least our leaders have allowed Detroit to become. And what I mean by that is that we have been pouring a disproportionate amount of federal, state and other monies into Wayne County, primarily into the city of Detroit, and that has done nothing to fix the cesspool, the carbuncle of financial suicide that's been going on within that city for decades and decades. And now that we've got a governor who said, well, I'm going to go in there and fix it. Well, when we've got 50% of the people not even bothering to pay property taxes, proudly in some cases, and you've got the leaders in the city not even bothering to have it collected, what possible good can come of our governor? And I'm certainly hoping for good things, but I think we all know what's going to happen is more millions and millions and millions, probably in the billions at some point, will be poured into the city of Detroit. And it will be poured in not from the pot of Mr. Bad Guy, Rich Guy. It's going to be poured in from the pot of money that we could use for roads, or we could use for police, or in fact...
for our own pensions.
Our own pensions instead of these others. So it's going to get worse, folks, and unless we can do some things about it, and we have that opportunity. But first...
News Talk 1090 WKVZ has a great way for you to save money. Up to 70% off on the items you want, like accessories for your man cave, fitness memberships, car care packages, GoPro cameras, and a lot more. Visit BidOnWestMichigan.com, check out all the items, and make sure that you register yourself as a bidder. So check out the spring auction right now at BidOnWestMichigan.com.
Sirens, jet engines, car horns, leaf blowers. Today's world puts our sense of hearing on overload. Luckily, there are places we can go to refocus our senses. Our national wildlife refuges. It's amazing how much more you'll hear when you just take a minute to listen. Like a stirring chorus of songbirds warbling in the treetops. Or the industrious beaver slapping its tail in the mountain pond over baritone bullfrogs. Or the pulsating beat of a pileated woodpecker looking for a meal. When you hear these things, you're hearing the world the way we found it. With over 500 refuges across America, you don't have to go far to make a special connection with nature. Learn more at fws.gov/refuges. That's fws.gov/refuges.
America had just gone to war when Felipe Adams volunteered.
I knew what I was signing up for. I knew the consequences. I took a bullet to the side and left me paralyzed.
For Armando de la Rosa, the Navy was a chance to serve and see the world.
I got medically discharged in 2001.
Armando and Felipe were brought together by a unique organization that serves our paralyzed veterans.
If there was no PVA, it'd be a lot of confusion. Our training is to better the veteran. We help out with the auto grant, the special housing adaptation grant, education, prosthetics. Our main focus is spinal cord injury and disease, but we see anybody.
First thing he had asked me before he even asked my name was I being taken care of as a veteran? And I thought that was pretty good.
Changing lives, building futures. That's Paralyzed Veterans of America. To learn more, visit pva.org.
Free and available 24/7. It never sleeps.
Geico. Wherever, whenever. Just a click away with our free mobile app.
News Talk 1090 is the talk of Muskegon.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well,
okay, folks, we are back. We don't have our hands in your pockets, but there's certainly a lot of folks out there. This is EyeOnMuskegon. Got Fred Birch, got Oscar Oswald, got your cuddly little Jim Riley here saying nice things about everybody.
He wishes somebody would cuddle next to him, you know. I don't know.
Honey bunch cuddles, but it's
hey,
not always.
I just want to bring up real quick. You talked about government and the money and stuff. Remember that guy with the kind of nerdy glasses that used to come on TV and sell those books?
Yeah.
They were like 500 pages.
Oh, he had the thing with the question mark sign.
I actually bought one of those at a garage sale.
Yeah, so did I.
Just to find out what it was.
Like 500 pages of ways you can get money from the government.
How do you make your living from the government? That's pretty.
Yeah.
Well, there used to be a time, and I don't think it was that long ago. Certainly things exploded under this current administration, but government has been exploding for a long time. But there was a time when many of the things the government did, made sense. There is right now the Senate Democrats. And again, I hate to say this, folks, not that I'm proud of the Republicans, because I most certainly am not, but the people who are driving so many of these outrages are the Democrats. And here's one right now. The Senate Democrats are blocking, actually they succeeded in blocking an effort to end the USDA-Mexico food stamp promotion partnership. We are spending American tax dollars to advertise and to employ probably Mexicans in Mexico to inform Mexican citizens how they can access American benefits, which would be, of course, it's not food stamps any longer. You get a Mexican credit card or a credit card and all the various
and
other...
why are you surprised?
Well, no, I'm not surprised. I'm trying to bring this information to people because too often I'm told that there's no difference between the political parties.
Well,
Let's be clear here. The Republicans have said this is a bad idea. We should not be paying our money to other countries and spending it in other countries so that they can get free stuff from us. The Democrats in the United States Senate have blocked this attempt of what I would call common sense.
Let me add another one to you. In Colorado, they just passed a magazine ban on
gun
magazines for in excess of a certain amount of rounds. I think the excess was 10 rounds. But in that law, which the sponsor of the bill says that she didn't realize that it was in the bill, but it turned out to be in the bill, and then they passed the law, and now they're finding out what the ramifications are, says that, and you can't have magazines or sell magazines that can be modified to hold more than the number of rounds that they specified. Well, the problem with that is, of course, is that virtually all magazines, by just removing the bottom plate on the clip, can be modified to hold more rounds. So they have essentially banned all magazines, all clips in Colorado at this point.
Well, this gives you a sense. This story, I think, is a perfect example. Of course, and it harkens back to the Nancy Pelosi statement that we've got to pass the bill so that we know what's in it. Now, of course, we're finding out any number of awful things are in this.
A $63 tax on everybody for the next 10 years for... Did you see that one?
No.
That's the latest one that came out. There's a $63 tax. I think it's a monthly tax on your health bills, on your health care insurance, in order to help the health insurance folks pay for the pre-existing conditions. And the second thing that came out this week was that many of the provisions for the different things apply to veterinary care. Well, that may not mean a whole big thing if you only own some little corgi and go to the vet, once every 5 years. But when you're a farmer and you own 3 horses and sheep and
you are Farmer Fred,
exactly. That's a huge deal. If the vet now costs X amount more money per visit. That's a huge deal for me.
I've not heard that. Okay, that's an interesting extrapolation because, again, I had thought I've got a little kitten or what have you.
Stand by for your food prices to rise again.
Because of the bill that we had to pass so that we would know what's inside it. Well, there's an additional, just a little anecdote, but to give you the sense, and folks, our leaders, the people who we elect, and then they, of course, rule over the various employees. And in this case, we apparently are the peasants. At least we certainly we do vote and we do elect the people in this country. Certainly in this county, our voices have been heard, and our voices generally have been heard in saying, "Hey, we love the job you're doing." Certainly at the county level, but at Muskegon County, not long ago, was presented, and thankfully it was tabled for a short period of time, but was presented a new set of rules that the county commissioners and others would agree to take care of their behavior and a variety of other things. But 2 of them I found quite interesting. One was the forced removal of anybody's hat. In other words, if you walk into the county commissioner's august area on the 4th floor and you wore a hat, you were required to take it off. So that's a dress code in order to go to a public meeting, which I believe is totally unconstitutional and totally unenforceable. And once they put it in place, I will be wearing my hat. So we'll see what happens there. But the other one,
well, they want you to remain uncovered because it's a sign of subservience.
Well, it's a sign of respect, which of course you earn respect, you don't demand it. And it is a sign of subservience, and who knows, maybe they'll have prayer mats that we can all, prostrate ourselves on prior to these. But the one that I mentioned, I want to bring up here, which is the most, to me, just indicative of the hard work, and I know that, again, I'll mention this because the gentleman who did come out and say we've worked really hard on this was a Republican County Commissioner, Bob Skolnick. When this was tabled, he said, geez, we spent a lot of time on this, we really like to pass this. It made illegal, unallowed, I guess you would say, the use of any electronic device during the meetings by anybody, not just the county commissioners, but people sitting in the peanut gallery like myself, other than recording devices. So that meant, by the way it was written, and this was brought up as, hey, this is a bad idea, and Commissioner Skolnick still stood by his support of this basket full of rules. That meant that if I was sitting in the peanut gallery there in the viewers area, I couldn't look at or read my cell phone if I happen to have a message. I couldn't, in my case, I use a computer, a laptop computer. Many people sit out there and use iPads. You're not allowed to do that. But even more importantly, every one of the county commissioners has a free, we pay for it, iPad. Again, this is County Commissioner Bob Skolnick's big push of a couple of years ago. We not only pay for the iPads, but we paid for the connection every month. So we pay the $30 a month for every single county commissioner. None of the county commissioners, by this rule, would be allowed to utilize or turn on their iPads.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
So this is the thought. This is the deep analysis that goes into the proposals that are brought by our veterans.
It really comes down to, the intrusion into people's lives. Who believes that people are free and have free will, and who believes that government should tell us what's best for ourselves, whether it's drinking 44-ounce Wesco diet sodas,
which I see right here. It's quite offensive to me.
Whether or not we're allowed to have high-capacity flush toilets, or whether or not we're allowed to have incandescent light bulbs, or use our electronic devices where we want, and can we wear hats inside a building?
Well, you can
these are intrusions into our personal liberty, and for a country that was founded upon free will and freedom, it is astonishing to me that our government stands athwart of those freedoms in our lives.
Well, it doesn't astonish me because we seem to support those same intrusions, but we will be back to disagree again right after this. After we got news and all sorts of stuff, but we will be back. We're going to talk about Muskegon and Michigan stuff, too.
Love me sometime. Whoa.
Can you really lose weight with hypnosis?
I started at 311. I've lost 65 pounds, and I'm not done. I'll be down to 200 pounds by Christmas.
That's Michael Colby of Fort Wayne, Indiana, after just one session with America's best-known hypnotist, John Morgan.
That very next day, I didn't have any cravings. My sweet tooth was gone.
Whether you want to lose weight and keep it off or stop smoking once and for all, a John Morgan hypnotist will be here soon.
I'm an ex-Marine, so I know all about suggestion and all that. I knew it would work.
Thanks to John Morgan, Michael's whole life has changed.
I used to live to eat, now I eat to live.
Join John Morgan hypnotist Mark Pasnek Thursday, March 28th at the Shoreline Inn and Conference Center, adjacent to the Lake House Restaurant in Muskegon. Smoking cessation is at 6 p.m., weight loss at 8 p.m. Call 800-735-6907 or visit johnmorganseminars.com. Sessions are affordable at $59.95.
Best advertisement for you guys is that it was effortless.
Call 800-735-6907 or visit johnmorganseminars.com.
The Talk of Muskegon is News Talk 1090 W.
News Talk 1090 WKVZ has a great way for you to save money. Up to 70% off on the items you want, like accessories for your man cave, fitness memberships, car care packages, GoPro cameras, and a lot more. Visit bidonwestmichigan.com, check out all the items, and make sure that you register yourself as a bidder. So check out the spring auction right now at bidonwestmichigan.com.
In the streets below, traffic had stopped. Pedestrians were lying on sidewalks and curled up in doorways. There was no sign of violence, no wrecks, nothing like that. It was as if the people in New York had simply decided to stop whatever they were doing and pass out. Ice coated my stomach. The invasion has started. To find out what happens next, read Percy Jackson and the Olympians by Rick Riordan. Explore new worlds and check out more cool books at your local library. And visit read.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
A message from Orlando Bloom, Liam Neeson, Lawrence Fishburne, Salma Hayek, and Téa Leoni.
24,000 children die every day from preventable causes.
Like not getting enough food or medicine.
Or clean, safe water to drink.
But we are gaining ground. A generation ago, twice as many children were dying.
Still, 24,000 every day?
I believe.
I believe.
I believe that number should be zero.
Believe in zero.
Join the effort. Visit UNICEFUSA.org.
Okay, honey, go play. My son needed a medical imaging exam, but talk of radiation made me a little concerned. So I asked our doctor, how will this exam improve his care? Are there alternative tests that don't use radiation? Is the facility accredited for quality and safety? And will he receive a child-sized radiation dose? Our doctor told me, if you need a scan, the benefits outweigh any risk.
If you're concerned about radiation, ask your doctor and get the facts at imagegently.org.
This is Mike McCready, Pearl Jam's lead guitarist. For the last 24 years, I've been living with Crohn's disease, a chronic and often painful digestive disease. Luckily, I have my disease under control. But so many of the 1.4 million Americans living with Crohn's and a similar disease called ulcerative colitis live day to day not knowing when their disease will strike next. You can help by joining one of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation's 130 Take Steps walks. Sign up today at cctakesteps.org. Take a step, register today.
I knew I had a problem.
I tried counting calories, eating and eating.
Nobody else could possibly understand.
We understand. We're Overeaters Anonymous, and we have helped thousands of people stop their compulsive eating and start living a healthy, rewarding life.
With OA, I am living again and loving it.
Start living the life you deserve with help from Overeaters Anonymous. Find us on the web at oa.org.
Army Specialist Andrew Pike was paralyzed by a sniper while serving in Iraq. Paralyzed Veterans of America helped Andy get the auto, housing, and vocational benefits he earned. You can help our paralyzed veterans. Visit.
I shoved the envelope under my sweater and sneaked to the kitchen. Mom was on the phone in the front room. I didn't want to have to explain anything. I just wanted to be by myself. Clutching the envelope tightly, I stepped onto the ladder at the bottom of the treehouse. Something caught my eye above me, and I looked up. Light! It looked as if there were a firework display going on inside the treehouse. Crackling and snapping and whizzing sounds spun around above my head. Light shot out and sparks dancing to the popping of noise. My first thought was to scream fire and run to the house to get Mom. My legs trembled as I inched upward, creeping up the rungs as quietly as I could. My heart banged so hard that it felt as if someone were hitting my chest. A couple more steps, and then I leaned forward, craning my neck to look inside. And then I looked up and saw... To find out what happens next, read Philippa Fisher's Fairy Godsister by Liz Kessler. Explore new worlds and check out more cool books at your local library. And visit read.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Your creditors directly or visit debtadvice.org. Real solutions for real people. This has been a public service message.
The Talk of Muskegon. News Talk 1090. WKBZ.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you
Hey, we are back at Eye on Muskegon, folks. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. Still got a little winter out there. Got Captain Fred here, though. He'll warm things up. And we got the man who put the O in radio, Oscar Osbo. And Jim Riley here, your host, and
Cuddly and Fuzzy.
Cuddly and Fuzzy. Actually, less fuzzy every year. Once I remember looking at my hair.
Besides your ears. You know, the interesting thing about when you get older, you get hair where you don't. Didn't have hair before, and you get less hair where you used to have hair.
We're going to ruin the few listeners we have. We're going to just push them out.
Well, it is pretty interesting.
It's terrible. I looked in the mirror and I saw this stuff growing off my ears. I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's not my head. That's on my ears. Anyway, it's disgusting.
You get hair where you never had hair before.
You guys have got hair, and I'm the guy. My hair is wispy. So like if a honey
wispy, I like that word.
If a hummingbird has a gas, it will blow my hair away. So, nonetheless, I do fight that. But, hey, we were talking about government intrusion prior to the break. And I think this is important, that we understand that we must stand tall, because there are people out there who just do not think the way we think. And you must communicate either to those who are making the decisions that we find onerous, and as Fred takes another gulp out of his enormous gulp, because actually the 44 ounces is significantly higher than is allowed in New York.
Absolutely.
Which is
it's my own private protest against Mayor Bloomberg.
It is your well, here's the mindset that wants to disallow and actually make Fred, and I guess by the virtue of the fact that we're sitting in our room, make everyone here in the Clear Channel Studios a lawbreaker. Mayor Bloomberg, when talking about his law to limit the size of soft drinks, said, quote, "We're not banning anything. It's called portion control." Now, think about that. John Van Wyck has come up with I think a great word. He said it's people control. It's the control of us, as Fred, you said earlier. Taking your hat off and forcing you to take your hat off as a sign of respect, which is certainly an interesting
it's rationing.
Contradiction.
It's rationing. And just as an analogy, it's kind of like the rationing boards for healthcare. I mean, it's a way of controlling you. It's a way of controlling your health. It's a way of controlling you as a person, and it's rationing. Now we've had rationing in the past during, tremendous struggles like World War II and that kind of stuff, where they had to ration things in order to send stuff to the front lines. But you know what? I think this is wrong. I think it is a terrible intrusion on us.
Well, it will continue to become not just the intrusion it is today.
Trans fats forever.
Well, be it trans fats, again, like you said, it started, and it's now like a tsunami. I mean, you've got all sorts of, what have you got in California? They've banned plastic bags. So now they've got all sorts of bacteria that is in these reusable
bags. They're giving everybody diseases.
Right. And again, what you have are people who at least appear from the decisions that they've been making to believe that they are unaccountable.
We're freezing the smokers to death.
Smokers are catching.
They're huddled around little trash cans with fires in them outside, 50 yards from the nearest public building.
And they're not dying of lung cancer any longer. They're dying of pneumonia.
Exactly.
which may be part of the plan
now to keep them warm. But anyway,
we need those smokers.
You were talking about the big gulp. I mean, so does that mean that in restaurants, when we go to a restaurant now, we don't get our second glass of pop when we're sitting at a restaurant eating our food?
Well, the portion control that the good mayor of New York had mentioned did not adjust for multiple purchases, even though this has been overturned by a judge. But the reality is that you can be sure that if, in fact, this had been allowed to stand, and perhaps it will be at some point, you can be sure, especially if you are someone of, let's say, plus girth.
Which Oscar is.
Yeah. Let's say you are someone who has been determined by an august body of people, of our betters, to be someone who is heavier than you ought to be. Then maybe we'll do what they did in Iran.
I think you are, too.
Iraq.
I think you could pinch an inch.
I think I probably could. Yeah, we're going to Weight Watchers. But just like they did in Iraq when they voted, they had the purple thumb. Well, when you buy a big gulp, or I guess whatever gulp would be allowed, let's say it's a 16-ounce
you just
gulp.
put it on your card. We'll each have a card, and I'll just swipe it.
You'd have to have
and then you have to wait.
Card.
You have to wait 24 hours before you can buy a gallon.
There we go.
Yeah, but
if you wanted a Snickers, it would all add up. And again, the food period, or the food pyramid, for your own betterment. It's just portion control.
They might actually embed that chip in your arm or something, so that you just, as you walk through the store, they say, food, maybe they say you can buy these things, but you can't buy these things.
We laugh, but you know what? Clearly, you can be sure the technology is there, and that someone has thought.
Well, they already put it in dogs.
How are you? It's already in the dogs.
Controlled.
The dogs are under their control.
Yeah.
Well, and they're forcing it for kids in some of the school systems.
The world is lost.
They're forcing the kids to have these chips somehow.
Soon cats, then hamsters,
a bracelet or something. Well, look, let's talk a little bit about our little county here, because we don't have much say. Certainly, no say.
We have no say
in what's going on in New York, and we do have a little bit of say, and we will have a little bit larger voice come the Senate election to replace Senator Levin.
Yeah.
But we do have a louder voice, certainly in the state of Michigan and in Muskegon County. And I'd like to talk about something that just came up. As we've talked about, and I don't want to bore people to death on this prevailing wage thing, which is awful. Prevailing wage, well, essentially it is too late. Every one of the county commissioners this past week voted at the full board session. The two Republicans, Marv Engel and Bob Skolnick, joined in harmony in a big kumbaya with the other 7 Democrats to vote to go ahead to hire the architect and the construction companies to go ahead to build the jail and this juvenile center with a top amount. We are assured, and thankfully we have on video, Administrator Bonnie Hammersley said it will not be more than $41 million.
Yeah, but we have on video Ken Mahoney saying that it won't be anywhere more than $25 million.
Well, that's the county board chairman who said that, but now new information has come out. So
that's okay. So new information will come out later.
It wasn't a lie, and it wasn't a mistake. It's just new information. Okay, and again, as long as we keep accepting that, and of course, if you looked at the Chronicle reports over the last few months,
suspend my disbelief.
Well, the point being is that the Republicans who are under pressure from those of us in the Republican Party and those of us who are conservatives and can care about the spending, we know that prevailing wage, which requires not just union wages, and not just union wages in Muskegon County, but union wages as determined by some board in Lansing, but it requires union benefits, but more onerously, it requires of course, union pensions and things of that sort. But it requires the union reportage, the paperwork, which essentially means that if you are a small subcontractor, if you're a minority contractor, and you are not already set up with your accounting firm to report these union benefits, union wages, and all this kind of things. Think about it. Let's say you had a contract, your subcontractor, you got a contract that lasted a month. You still have to account for and pay for retiree pension benefits for your employees that you had on that one contract for just 1 month. So this is a very big deal. It can be an expensive deal. It's likely, as the Mackinac Center has said, that it increases costs anywhere between 10 and 20%. I've had individual folks tell me it can be as much as 30 to 40%.
Which it means that if you've got a project, it means that if you've got a set cost project, let's say $41 million, if you go with the this ruling that they voted on, it means that your project, although it was set at $41 million, it means that you don't get your $41 million worth. So it means that some of the cells probably won't have hot tubs or the other benefits that might have accrued to the prisoners.
Yeah, could be that
if you have those things, right?
Well, it's a little hard to say. I think what may happen if the prices continue or go up, as you've noted, that we've been promised before, certain levels of expenditures just seem to be, well, no sweat, we just rejiggered the number. But the reality is it's going to cost the county, the taxpayers of this county, as much as $2 million to $4 million to who knows, maybe even more, $1 million additionally to build this if they go with this self-imposed rule. Now, the reason I bring this up is that the two Republicans And interestingly, a couple of the other Democrat commissioners who seem to think this is important say, oh, well, we don't need to vote on prevailing wage now. We can vote on it later. Well, the Chronicle just reported that there's an expectation, if things go along as smoothly as they have been, and they have been smooth in getting this done, that construction could begin in 2013, which, by the way, this is 2013. Yeah. So it appears that the prevailing wage, this onerous additional multi-millions of dollars by our county that tells us is really, really tight in terms of spending, will be imposed, and not one of our Republican county commissioners, not one of the Democrat county commissioners have stood up and said, this is a rule that's self-imposed. We don't need to do it. It purely just gives these union contractors, and frankly, these are the folks with the inside deal, the same type of folks who put the new roof on the county jail not so many years ago, and the sheriff. This is, by the way, prevailing wage, high quality union labor that put the new roof on the county jail, and the sheriff just a few weeks ago in front of a large group said yes, and we've got some really terrible problems with the new roof that was put on the jail. It's leaking like crazy, which is he used as a reason to build the jail. Well, the reason I bring this up is we have another Republican, our Republican state senator, Jeff Hansen. And Senator Hansen is looking to get reelected. He may very well have a primary challenge in about a year and a half as a Republican, but certainly come November of 2014, he will be running for his final term as senator in the state of Michigan. Now, Senator Hansen came up with an idea, and apparently he's a co-sponsor, so it may very well have been his own idea. But what he wants to do is to reduce the cost, and in particular, this would be helpful to Muskegon County, at least the proponents of the jail, reduce the cost of the jail by saying that the contractors who are building the jail will not have to pay sales tax on the materials that are necessary, that are involved in any area where they might have to pay sales tax. And that would save the 6% sales tax that would be used to build the jail. He also wants to make this retroactive back to, I believe, the beginning of 2013. So anyone who's building a municipal project will be able to get not 6% across the board, but at least the 6% that would have been paid by the contractors.
For the materials.
Now, there's a significant difference between what Senator Hansen is suggesting and this self-imposed prevailing wage, and that's simply this. Senator Hansen is saying that if municipalities build something, the state, instead of taking the 6% that the state would have gotten, is just going to give it back. In other words, they are subsidizing, and by subsidizing, you are encouraging more municipal building. The state is going to give up its money. So the county, assuming all things are equal, would benefit. But why should the state be doing this? Especially when the county has chosen to increase the cost of its own construction by significantly more than whatever the 6% would save. It appears to me that Senator Hansen has missed the entire point. I would hope Republicans understand that and contact him. This is a bad idea.
Yeah, I think it is, and by and large, I like Jeff Hansen and most of what he does, but in this case, I do think that he's missed the mark. Here again, why are we robbing Peter to pay Paul?
This isn't just another subsidy from our state that's broke.
We've got enough problems, and this is just another. And by the way, this would just be another nightmarish, accounting issue as well, on top of everything else.
And you can imagine the opportunity for fraud in this accounting.
So I think you're right. I think he's missed it.
This would be a law too, by the way. This would be state law. This would go on in perpetuity until it was changed.
In any event, again, this goes back to throw the peasants their nickels and dimes.
Yes.
The kings and queens will throw us the pennies and the change.
Bread and circuses.
As we're out there, genuflecting on the sidewalks as they walk by. This bothers me a great deal. As free people, we should be holding our officials accountable and not expecting that they toss us a little bone once in a while in return for our votes. And I just think this is a bad idea.
Well, Senator Hansen has been silent actually, he's been more than silent, and I'll explain that in a sec, but he's been silent on this issue of prevailing wage. He's been very vocal on the fact that the state ought to start giving more free money out. And when I say he's been less than silent, he's actually gone out and tried to squelch open discussion by Republicans about prevailing wage. When the Republican Party did have its meeting and did bring in an expert from the Mackinac Center, the senator's staff sent us a note saying, we don't really think you ought to be talking about prevailing wage. Well, guess what? We are going to talk about prevailing wage. If you are a Republican and you do care about this, and you think that this 6% solution is idiotic, and his silence on prevailing wage is cowardly, then give him a call. Go to EyeOnMuskegon.com. His phone number's right there. His email address is right there. Let him know what you think. Because, again, folks, Thomas Paine did say, we are fighting the fight now so that our children will not have to fight it. We can all lay back and let our children fight this fight. I don't think it makes any sense for us to do that. And you can easily be part of the solution by picking up the phone.
Curb diem. Seize the day.
Seize the day. Hey, one other thing, just as well, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, did they ever say why they needed a new juvenile center?
Actually, that's interesting. No, not to my knowledge.
'Cause I pass by it every day when I come here.
The one up in Whitehall.
Right.
Yeah. Well, there are some kind of made up after the fact reasons. Well, it'll be closer to the jail so that when they graduate from juvenile center, they can go right to the jail. There's any. That was a joke.
I know.
But actually, it's a joke that apparently is fairly true. I don't know. I believe that the juvenile center was added to the jail with the idea that it would be as successful a concept as when you're looking for a big school millage and you throw in, we're going to get a new football stadium, that kind of thing. It was added in to somehow make it a little more palatable. Whatever it is, every one of our county commissioners on every single vote has voted yes to go ahead with this. We're going to get it. And I think I've mentioned that Ottawa County has, I think I've misstated myself in the past, but Ottawa County has something in the $70 to $80 million of total bonding outstanding. We have about $130 million, something along those lines. We will be adding another $35 or so million of county bonding. That's a mistake. That corporations look at the county fiscal responsibility just like they do city fiscal responsibility. That's why no one's moving to Detroit or Muskegon Heights, where the land is almost free.
We should be drawing down our debt rather than
And what are they going to do with this building now? The building over in Whitehall. That's just going to remain
probably
empty?
Turn it into a social services event. I mean, almost every building that the county has moved out of, they've kept open for some other expansion of government. And let me tell you how they've been able to do that. I've been mentioning to people that it seemed to me, as I go to these county meetings, when the county on a monthly basis votes for their spending, their approving of accounts payable, I compared the last month's accounts payable spending with a year ago last month's. And it's around $11 million a month, but which you got to wonder, we've got $130 million worth of spending. Are you really, do you think you're getting that?
Are you getting your money's worth?
But in the last 12 months, and this is just a snapshot, but I'm not so sure it's pretty accurate, county spending's up 9%. 9% just in the last 12 months, from a year ago, the same time period, to the same period today. So when they tell you they're cutting to the bone, when they tell you that the grizzle is being wiped out, the liver, we just got to take the liver out if you ask us to cut back on spending, say, wait a minute, you got 9% more this year than not, and you're still going out and borrowing another $35 million?
Preposterous.
Holy guacamole, folks.
He was looking for one of us to say something.
I know. I was waiting for something. Jeez, I guess we'll be back. I'll chastise you guys for not supporting me.
Oh, don't you love me sometime?
It's the sale Michigan's been waiting for 1 week only. It's Benton Chevrolet Cadillac GMC's gigantic 30th anniversary sale. Both sides of Henry Street are packed wall to wall with vehicles. And right now, get up to 30% off your new car. Trade-in values are at an all-time record high. Buy low and sell high. Get up to 30% off your new car. 0% financing and up to $10,000 in discounts and more. Right now, get a 2013 Chevy Silverado, only $198 a month, plus 2 years free maintenance. Or a 2013 Chevy Cruze, only $79 a month. A huge selection of Chevy Malibus at $109 per month. And Chevy Equinox, just $119 a month. We want and need your trade. And values are at record high levels. Plus, get up to 30% off the price of your new vehicle. Every vehicle sold is backed by the Benton Low Price Guarantee. Only at the Benton Chevrolet Cadillac GMC's anniversary sale. Both sides of Henry Street, Muskegon. The time to buy is now.
You can save a ton online with News Talk 1090 WKBZ. Right now, you can save half off at Belvecino's on Holton Road in Muskegon. Just go to newstalk1090.com and click on Lakeshore for less.
It's about your life and your money. It's the Dave Ramsey Show.
Is this down economy usual in life? Have we had these same times in the past and good ones will come again? Yeah, it's just part of life. Good times do come again, and there is cycles in the economy. So it's the worst recession since the Great Depression. No, it's not. 1982 was worse. We had double-digit inflation, double-digit unemployment, and interest rates on homes were 17%.
Catch Dave weekday afternoons from 2 till 5 on News Talk 1090 WKBZ.
They don't have to die, but they do. 24,000 children every day. My name is Orlando Bloom, and I believe that number should be zero. Believe in zero. Join the effort. Visit unicefusa.org.
The full moon lights the silver rails winding around dark mountains and over steep gorges of jagged rock and one freezing cold rushing black mountain river. I wish there was enough time to describe all of the funny twists and turns that led up to now, but there isn't enough time because there's a ticking clock and the two passengers we care most about don't know anything about it. To see what happens next, visit read.gov to read The Exquisite Corpse, a riveting adventure pieced together by John Sheska, Shannon Hale, Daniel Handler, and other popular authors. Explore new worlds. Read. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Betsy, look at these sweaters. They look amazing on our girls.
Maybe.
Come on, what's wrong?
Suzanne, I have no business being in the store. I should not be shopping. Things are really tight. We're behind on our mortgage.
Listen, Bill and I had the same problem, and we got some really great counseling, and it was free. I'm going to email you the information.
If you even think you may be in danger of foreclosure, call the National Foundation for Credit Counseling today at 866-687-6322 or visit mortgagehelpnow.org. Public service from the NFCC.
Now. Let us help you succeed in school and in life. Visit us online today at GoRocketCity.org.
News Talk 1090 is the talk of Muskegon.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you
Okay, folks, golly, we're coming up to that last half hour of the most exciting political day in all of Muskegon County. I wanted just to hit
Happy
a few
St.
things.
Patrick's Day, by the way. I decided.
Golly, that's right. You know, I even have, as part of my show prep, various things that happen on.
I thought you were going to bring us like corned beef and cabbage this morning.
I thought we were going to do a river dance.
Yeah.
Well, that would be kind of cool. I really enjoyed river
dance. That in full HD. Put it on YouTube.
I love river dance.
Well, guess what? We didn't have that, but I do want to mention a little bit about St. Patrick's Day because I did a little bit of homework on it. The St. Patrick's Day, of course, commemorates the patron saint of Ireland. But did you know this is it is his date of death, at least as close as they've been able to determine. Apparently, he died on March 17th, 461 A.D., and one would have been interested to perhaps see the calendar he had on his wall in those days if he knew he was in 461 A.D. But on this same day, in 1762 in New York City, the first St. Patrick's Day parade took place. And it was, interestingly, held by Irish soldiers who were at that time serving in the British Army, which was, I'm not so sure they could have been called occupying the colonies, but
occupying forces.
Well, they were providing other good things. Hey, other cool things that are happening this week, in addition to St. Patrick's Day, is it is National Poison Prevention Week. So you can be sure folks like Mayor Bloomberg and others are probably going to make sure that we don't poison our children and our guests. National Animal Poison Prevention Week. So somebody like you, Fred, who has, gotten friendly with your goats, Make sure that you don't poison any goats. And for those of you who are
Oscar's having a conniption.
For those of you who are comfortable about the poisons and you don't worry about that, this is one, I don't know how you celebrate this one. This is Root Canal Awareness Week. So as if you have nothing else to worry about,
you have that to worry
about. Go celebrate Root Canal Awareness Week.
Did they say anything about when they turn beer green and why or anything like that, or no?
You know what?
I'm sure it's because of St. Patrick's Day turn green, but
I don't know the why, but I can tell you something. I have been to 2 of the 3 largest St. Patty's Day parades. Of course, one in Chicago, which many of us have been to, and I believe the second or third largest in the country is in Savannah, Georgia. It's a tremendous weekend that they have down there. But when we were in Chicago, and I would really recommend this to anybody who does go. That one bridge over the Chicago River, the main bridge there on Michigan Avenue.
Turn the water green?
Yep. Well, if you go down the steps, there's a family that has a boat, and they have been doing this apparently for many, many, many years. And they take this boat out, and they have the chemical that turns the river green. And they also have bottles of whiskey, and are more than willing to give you a shot. So it's quite an exciting visit no matter what. But the chemical that they use to turn the river green, interestingly, is orange. And of course, if you're Irish and you understand that the orange, the English were called the orange and not well respected, they put this orange chemical, dump it right into the river, and it turns the river green. So I don't know the exact chemical nature of it, but I do know it involves one of the most dangerous substances known to mankind, and that is dihydrogen monoxide.
Ooh.
Which is
man, that stuff that's bad. 100% of all deaths have some traces of that in the body.
And dihydrogen monoxide, of course, is little recognized for the dangers that it does.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh!
How do they get away with that then?
I think it's just another government scam. It's another. They cover it up.
I mean,
the environmental people.
More people are killed. I believe more people are killed when dihydrogen monoxide is involved. Tsunamis, hurricanes,
absolutely,
you name it.
Absolutely.
Drownings and any number of things.
Than any amount.
Than all the rest combined. Of course, some people would know it as H2O, which I guess some people, the people who don't quite understand it, might call that water. But it is, in fact, dihydrogen monoxide. Very dangerous substance. The government has yet
to ban it,
to start banning it, or at least controlling it. But the mayor of New York is trying to reduce the consumption of the dihydrogen monoxide when it's combined with sugar.
Reducing beer too, or
one would expect that would be down the pike, wouldn't you think?
Would be, yeah.
Okay, hey, I have on my list. By the way, my show prep I do put on EyeOnMuskegon.com, and now as Fred has so lauded me for, I've organized it in a fashion. And you might want to go there.
Military man in him.
Yes, well, he hadn't lauded me about anything yet, but
I don't laud.
Yeah, you don't laud.
I'm not a lauder.
I've got a little section called Just Dumb, and a couple of things, some of which you may have heard, but they are certainly worthy of revisiting. During a time when, of course, we know that the government's cut back, the National Institutes of Health was awarded a $1.5 million study to study the biological and social factors of why 3/4 of lesbians are obese, and coincidentally why gay males are not.
And how many White House tours do you suppose could be funded with that?
There's your tax dollars at work. Got to find out why some are fat and some are skinny. Another wonderful deal. On Wednesday, this is just the past week, or actually a couple weeks ago, the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee, sent out a notice that its hearing on global warming was canceled due to the chilly weather and a snowstorm that was about to hit. Now there was no snowstorm that had hit at the time, and it was chilly weather, which I guess is proof to some of global warming. A couple of other wonderful things that are happening here. I don't know if you've seen this. I know you have, Fred. Oscar. Was this Leno?
No, Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon, they do these man-on-the-street things. You've got to click on this. It's called What Do You Think About Obama Pardoning the Sequester and Sending It to Portugal? They had a gentleman, I imagine in New York, interviewing people about what they thought about President Obama pardoning the sequester, and then, of course, sending it to Portugal. And everyone, of course, I'm sure they just picked the best, but everyone there had an opinion on it. Most thought it was a good idea. They didn't. Some of them did not like the idea of sending it to Portugal.
It gives you a sense of the low information voters that we really are up against.
Well, as Mark Stein has said, Mark Stein is arguably the best political commentator out there. Quote, "You're doomed, America." This is in response to the Pop-Tart debacle, where a child in school chewed his Pop-Tart into what some thought resembled a gun and was suspended from school. Mark's comments, "You're doomed, America. You're done for. No society can survive this level of stupidity. The school counselor is available to meet with any students who are traumatized by hearing reports of some guy 4 grades below them who nibbles a Pop-Tart into a gun-like shape." Institutionalized stupidity.
Yeah, a couple of little comments on that. I saw on Facebook the other day somebody had a picture of Florida and said that all of the students in Florida have been suspended because Florida looks like a gun.
It does. It's frightening.
It does. It's amazing. Amazing. But I've often wondered this. I threw a kid out of school the other day for having.
You did?
No, some folks did in Michigan, I believe. That threw a kid out of school because they had a paper gun. And I've often wondered, you can't take pictures of guns. You can't bring in your army men on your cupcakes. You can't have a Hello Kitty gun, which shoots bubbles. If you look through a history book, are there not pictures of the Minutemen with guns? Are there not, if you look at the Civil War, do they not have pictures of the battles?
University of Massachusetts mascot is a Minuteman, and I believe they took the gun off of the mascot
would they give him a watch?
I think he's got, it's like a Hello Kitty something. No, think about that. University of Massachusetts, the home of the Minutemen. And now the Minuteman does not have a gun.
I'm waiting for one of these families to go in and sue the county or the schools for the images that they have in the books. And I can guarantee you that if they go to the library in every one of these schools, they ought to be suspending all those librarians. Because that there are books in there that have guns, references to guns, pictures of guns, things about guns, all of these different kinds of things. So let's start applying the rules to the administrators.
Fred, here's the problem.
That's my rant for today.
No, and I agree with you 100%, but here's the problem. The problem isn't one person's poor decision-making. The problem is we have institutionalized not just stupidity, but the acceptance, and in some cases, the celebration of stupidity. The people, these are school superintendents, school principals, school teachers. The people who are involved in these examples that you talk about still have their jobs.
Right, so let's make them live by their own rules. Alinsky rule number, whatever it is, make them live by their own rules, go into their libraries, check and see how many pictures of guns are in there, sue the city, make sure that we fire all those people that were involved, including all of the teachers and all of the administrators and the librarians, and, make them live by their own rules.
Well, we know that we do have the Democrat presidential candidate John Edwards. We do have two Americas, and if in fact this was a private company making idiotic decisions like this, they would be sued. They're not sued, and almost we got to be happy, because if you do sue like I did sue the county commission, if you do sue a municipality, you're essentially just suing yourself, because win or lose, you pay. And unfortunately, but what we have again is this institutionalized stupidity. Because remember, when you hire people, be they an airline pilot or somebody who's digging holes or somebody who's a superintendent or principal or teacher in a school, you're hiring them not just for the skills that they may or may not bring to the table into the school system, but you're hiring them because they've exhibited excellent judgment, good judgment over time. And when you've got idiotic things like think about the escalation where multiple people saw a child eating a Pop-Tart. It was in the shape of Florida. And so from the teacher to the principal to the school superintendent, probably to the school board, they said this is worthy of taking this fourth grader and kicking him out of school. They have exhibited to me the kind of judgment that disqualifies them from that job. That job, teaching our children, requires good judgment. Now, not everybody has great judgment, but not everybody has a right to be a teacher or an administrator. And if in fact you have gone out and you've said, look, I am such a bonehead that, yeah, I might have some skills here, but I just make really poor decisions a lot. That's fine. There are jobs for you where you can be told what to do. These people are not in those positions. We need to start raising Cain and getting them out of those positions. Huh?
I agree.
There we go. Well, I figured you would. And that's why I said it, because I need people to agree with me. Well, let me tell you.
That's why it brings me
since I'm being laughed at here,
because he knows I don't. So that's
yeah,
why,
I know. I'm getting a frowny face over there from the guy who controls this entire show.
I don't disagree with you on that one. But
well,
anyway.
at Mona Shores, I keep telling people that you can stand tall. At the very least, you've got to either send an email or pick up the phone and call these electeds. But you do have an opportunity here that's, I think, kind of unique and I think great. Mona Shores School Board. Mona Shores is a decently run school, from what I understanding, although they do have full-time child care for students, in case you're interested. But one of the school board members... I
might send my wife back to school.
Well, there we go. Well, one of the school board members in Mona Shores school system he's looking for a job within the district, so he has resigned from the board. I guess you're not allowed to be on the board and being an employee at the same time. You can, apparently, the way I read it, it says, quote, those interested in serving as a board member in Mona Shores should send letters of interest to Superintendent Dave Peden, 121 Randall Road, Muskegon, Michigan, 49441.
Mona Shores, though, weren't they the ones that had that superintendent that was spending some money on one of his brothers, some kind of account where they were the building of the high school area there and building up.
I'm not sure of that. I know that the boneheads on the board and the boneheads at the administration lost $4 to $6 million by investing with some idiot, Joe's Investments and Hubcap Shop out of Southfield, Michigan. Okay. It seems to me that the board there could use some new folks. But if you're interested, here's an opportunity to at least apply. One of the things that I keep telling people too, first time you apply for something, or the first time you run for public office, you're not expected to win or to get appointed, but it helps you put together whatever resume you have to submit. Interestingly, they give you no advice in terms of what Superintendent Dave Peden wants in terms of letters of interest. But actually, I think I will send mine in. I'm sure they'll appoint me to something. Hey, there's another one going on here that's got my attention, and that is something that my co-host on the morning show here on the Talkin' Muskegon show, Brian Worsham, was involved with, and I really applaud Fruitport Township Supervisor Brian Worsham and Norton Shores Mayor Gary Nealand. I applaud them. They found, and they from what I have read and from what I've been told personally, they were quite unhappy with the way that their communities were being treated by the Muskegon Heights Water District. And in the face of severe racial comments that this was all being done on a racial basis, they chose to officially, just this past week, to notify Muskegon Heights that, in fact, they will no longer be getting the water. This starts, I believe, in 2015, and in fact have connected with a far better deal financially and in any number of other ways better with the city of Muskegon to provide water services to those two. Matter of fact, those are the only two, I believe, really actually booming and growing communities within our county. And there will be significant savings. What happens in Muskegon Heights? Well, clearly, when you've lost probably 95% of your revenue, that water system is in terrible trouble. I don't know if the residents of the state, the residents of the county will be forced to bail it out, or if in fact they will allow it to go into some type of bankruptcy and then be picked up, maybe perhaps by the city of Muskegon. But it takes some guts to stand tall. It certainly is a lot easier, as our county commissioners have done, just to sit around and do nothing or say, oh, it's too horrid, or I don't want to be called a racist, or what have you. These two gentlemen stood tall. They convinced their boards to make the choice. There was any number of folks out there fighting this, and they stood tall. It's going to happen. It's going to be better for the citizens. Wow. Great move. We'll be back after this break.
If you love food and your heart, go grocery shopping with me, Mon, short for mono unsaturated fat.
And me, polyunsaturated.
We're the Better Fat Sisters. Over here in the cooking oil aisle, choose canola, olive, and other vegetable oils. Liquids are better for your heart than solid fats.
You'll also find us in fresh foods like avocados, nuts, and fish.
Before you put any baked goods, packaged, and prepared foods in your cart, read the labels.
Avoid our bad fats brothers, saturated and trans. They love to clog your arteries.
We're heart healthier, but let's face it, we're fats.
We all have the same 9 calories per gram, so watch your portions.
And thanks for shopping with us.
The Better Fat Sisters. Be kinder to your heart. Learn more and get recipes at heart.org/facethefats. Nationally sponsored by Canola Info.
This is Mike McCready. You probably know me as one of the founding members of the rock band Pearl Jam and the band's lead guitarist. For the last 24 years, I've been living with Crohn's disease, a chronic and often painful digestive disease. Luckily, I have my disease under control. But so many of the 1.4 million Americans living with Crohn's and a similar disease called ulcerative colitis live day to day not knowing when their disease will strike next. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation is committed to transforming the lives of those impacted by Crohn's and colitis toward a future based on well-funded, cutting-edge research. You can help by joining one of CCFA's 130 Take Steps walks taking place around the country this year. Make the decision now to join us and take a step toward a future free from Crohn's and colitis. Sign up today at www.cctakesteps.org. That's cctakesteps.org. Take a step. Register today.
A message from Orlando Bloom, Neo, Joel Madden, Lawrence Fishburne, Taya Leone, and Nicole Richie.
They do not have to die, but they do.
24,000 children every day.
They die for reasons we can prevent.
Like not getting enough food or medicine or clean, safe water to drink.
24,000 children every day.
But we are gaining ground. A generation ago, twice as many children were dying.
Still, 24,000 every day?
They don't have to die.
They do not have to die.
They don't have to die, but they do.
They die because they are young and vulnerable.
They die because through no fault of their own, they are poor.
24,000 children.
24,000 children.
24,000 children every day.
My name is Taya Leone, and I believe.
My name is Joel Madden.
My name is Nicole Richie.
My name is Neo, and I believe.
My name is Lawrence Fishburne.
My name is Orlando Bloom, and I believe that number should be 0. Believe in 0.
Join the effort. Visit UNICEFUSA.org.
I can solve difficult problems for a Fortune 500 company.
I can run a successful business. I can put my military experience to work for your company.
I can manage your home improvements.
I can publicize your message.
I can teach your children.
But I can't put my skills to work for your organization
if I'm not given the opportunity.
Nearly 50 million Americans have disabilities. Capitalize on their talents with employment practices that benefit everyone. Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
I took a bullet to the side and left me paralyzed.
For injured veterans like Felipe Adams, there are veterans like Armando de la Rosa ready to help. Paralyzed Veterans of America, changing lives, building futures. Visit PVA.org.
I knew I was stuck at this kid's house for the night. I decided to just go to sleep and get the night over with. But those guys came into the bedroom and got into a massive pillow fight. Let me tell you, it's not easy falling asleep when a sweaty little kid falls on you every 5 seconds. Even after the lights went out, Raleigh and his friends stayed up. A bunch of them snuck up on me to try and pull a hand in a bowl of warm water trick. Well, that was enough for me. I went downstairs to sleep in the basement even though it was pitch black. I left my sleeping bag upstairs and that was a mistake, because it was freezing. I think it was probably the longest night of my life. When the sun came up this morning, I found out the reason it was so cold. I was sleeping right by the sliding glass door, and some fool had gone and left it open overnight. That really stunk, because if I knew there was a way to escape last night, I definitely would have taken it. To read more about the sleepover, check out Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Last Straw by Jeff Kinney. Explore new worlds and check out more cool books at your local library, and visit read.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
On Gun Talk.
It's Gun Talk, Sunday afternoons at 3 on News Talk 1090 WKBZ, the talk of Muskegon.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you dadgum.
That dadgum government. Well, needless to say, we're not thrilled with that dadgum government, but we're trying to make it a little bit better, trying to get you informed, give you some of the tools that you can utilize to make our government more responsive and maybe make things a little bit better for folks rather than never-endingly making it more intrusive and more expensive for us. EyeOnMuskegon, only got a few minutes left here. I wanted to mention I did give kudos to those two, I believe, brave leaders of their two communities, Norton Shores and Fruitport Township, for their move on the water. But I do want to jump all over the Norton Shores folks, and I would imagine, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine it includes the mayor of Norton Shores. Norton Shores has decided that they want to go ahead and provide garbage pickup for the citizens of Norton Shores. Now, currently, we can pick from a variety of garbage disposal companies, and if we're unhappy with one, and I was unhappy once with one, and I moved to another one. Now that the city of Norton Shores has said, well, we don't want to do that, and it would not surprise me. They tried this a couple years ago. They had one of the busiest meetings they've ever had. It's clear the people in the city don't want this to happen, but as so often happens in our communities, the government says, well, screw the people. We're just going to go right ahead with whatever we want, and we'll just keep doing it and doing it and doing it until we can get away with it. And but here's what I found interesting, and this is where our, I believe, lapdog local press, I'm sure the good folks at the Chronicle do their best to bring the news to us, but there seems to be a lack of curiosity that is stunning sometimes, and they have become, in far too many cases, just an arm of the public relations of any governmental organization that's interested in spending more and expanding their power. But here's the way it was reported in the Chronicle. Barsak, who apparently is the Norton Shores official who's been pushing this, he said residents voted for a $1.5 million street improvement bond, and the effort to reduce garbage traffic is just a larger part of reducing road damage. So our garbage trucks, if we just put them on in one company, which would not surprisingly would be run by Norton Shores. But here's what he goes in here. He says, we have multiple garbage haulers running up and down our streets in a given week. Quote, it makes our city looks trashy because there are always garbage cans out. He said some studies, now I love this, some studies estimate that road damage caused by one garbage truck equates the wear and tear caused by 12,000 to 18,000 cars, depending on the size of the truck. Some studies say that. I'd like to see those studies. Aside from curtailing road damage, maintaining a more picturesque town, and saving residents money, city officials believe contracting refuse services will address safety concerns the trucks pose to motorists, pedestrians, and, of course, school-age children. Now, this was written, and by the way, most of that was not a quote. Perhaps it was a compilation. That was essentially the extent of the reportage from the reporter at the Muskegon Chronicle M Live. No mention of the fact that if you know anybody who lives in Muskegon, where they do have, quote, free garbage pickup, that in fact they don't pick up many things. They've got little tiny dumpsters. There's any number of reasons why you would hate it. The most important being that if you don't like it, you can choose another one, which is what the city of Norton Shores just did with their water system, but they don't want you to have choice. This is a creeping, never-ending grab for power, grab for money, under the guise that it's going to save you money, it's going to curtail road damage, it's going to make a more picturesque town. Who could be against that? And it's going to address the safety concerns that we all have, not just for motorists and pedestrians, but for school-age children.
Again,
that's a bad Saturday Night Live skit.
I am almost speechless. I say almost because, of course, I got to make a comment on it, which is, every time that you restrict people's choice, you wear away the freedom that we all have. Any of these things are just chipping away at free choice.
I understand Norton Shores'
liberty
reasons, though. But I lived there for about 7 years, and I didn't agree with some of them at the time. But I understand they're trying to keep the property value up and the neighborhood to look nice and all that kind of thing.
Sure, absolutely.
So I don't.
Then there are other ways to do it.
There are other ways to do it. I mean, for instance, as far as garbage pickup, I mean, I don't know about you, Fred, but I live in Fruitland Township. I just take my garbage to the dump.
Yeah.
It saves me about $60 every time to do that.
Cindy and I don't have a garbage pickup either. We do the same thing.
Well, what you also have in places like Detroit, like Muskegon Heights, where you have very restrictive but albeit free pickup, of course, with the union contracts and everything else, of course, it doesn't pay at all. What you have are people that take their trash and they just dump it by the side of the road because the hauler won't pick it up. Again, this is, to me, the most important thing is all of these motorists, pedestrian, and school-age children who have been living under fear for their own safety all of these decades because of these rogue garbage trucks. I don't know if anybody remembers seeing
careening down the road, trash falling from all sides.
What was the Dennis?
Green toxic stuff coming out of the back.
Potholes in the street everywhere. It's amazing.
Yeah, and that's and again, and
thousands of cars being replaced by these garbage trucks.
They don't mention how the earth would be saved too by reducing the trucks moving around. But anyway. It's to me, you guys may trivialize it, but
I'm not trivializing it at all.
When you've got motorists, pedestrians, and school-age children living in fear and probably many of them being crushed by these
garbage trucks.
These garbage trucks. This is a way to alleviate that very severe problem.
Do you have in Motor Shores? Do you have the separation of the cans and paper and all that stuff, or do you just
it's voluntary.
Recycling?
It's voluntary.
They do have recycling there.
After you separate them all, then they dump them all in the same container.
The one doesn't know, but I do know that the earth is a lot cleaner because of it.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry.
But in keeping with this, frankly, it's nanny state. But in keeping with this concept that you are too freaking stupid to keep yourself from getting run over by a truck, our sheriff wants to jump in on this. And again, this is another one of these brilliantly written pieces from the Chronicle. Quote, there is a private citizen who has expressed a genuine interest in how to make it safer for the joggers and bikers and walkers in our area, said Sheriff Dean Rossler, recently reelected Dean Rossler. Quote, we will be working on a program to provide reflective vests to those who request them. The program details are in the preliminary stages, but Rossler said he would like to make that happen soon for area residents who enjoy exercising outdoors.
You know the good thing about this, and I know that it doesn't say this in there, but this is how the mandatory helmets for kids on bikes worked. First it was
children. Clearly, you hate children.
First it was voluntary. Then it became, a good thing that we advertise, and then the next thing you know is we all look like a bunch of damn prisoners walking by the roadside.
But we're not dead. We're not dead. And this is what he's trying to protect us from. Well, anyway, if you're interested in one of these freebies, which it didn't indicate where the money's going to come from, but clearly our betters are looking out for us so that we don't get hit by various vehicles and who knows what. There's probably cougars and all sorts of...
Thank you, our overlords. We appreciate you.
There we go. Well, if you can either thank them or you can call them. Go to EyeOnMuskegon.com.
Your benevolence is wonderful.
Hey, we're running out of time here. Hey, don't forget, I do post the audio at EyeOnMuskegon on Sunday afternoons. I'll be on the Talking Muskegon show Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday this week. We'll have Baker College President Lee Coggins going to be my co-host Monday, and then we're going to have that wild man Mike Hewitt from the Renegade River show both Tuesday and Wednesday. Captain Fred, Oscar, all you wonderful listeners, thanks for tuning in. Pass the word. We're trying to fight the good fight, folks. Have a great week in a little piece of heaven. Next week we'll put the eye on you, Muskegon.
Love me sometime.
Hi, my name's Bob. Hi, Bob. I see this ad on TV. Says I can reduce my debt by 50%. I call. They told me to stop paying my bills, stop talking to my creditors. They'd take care of everything.
I gave them thousands, but most of it went to their fees.
Getting out of debt is neither quick nor easy. There are those who will tell you anything to win your trust.
I'm more in debt now because the fees and interest on my cards kept piling up.
Talk to your creditors directly, or to find a nonprofit agency near you, visit debtadvice.org.
24,000 children die every day from preventable causes. My name is Clay Aiken, and I believe that number should be zero. Believe in zero.
Join the effort. Visit UNICEFUSA.org.
The Talk of Muskegon is News Talk 1090 WKBZ Muskegon and heard 24 hours a day on WOOD HD2 Muskegon.
Sale at the Sherman Bowling Center with free admission and parking. Get great deals on equipment from TaylorMade, Callaway, Cobra, and more, all at unbelievable liquidation blowout prices. Don't miss the golf liquidation sale this Friday through Sunday at the Sherman Bowling Center in Muskegon.
This is WKBZ Muskegon and WOOD HD2 Muskegon.
Good morning and happy St. Patrick's Day. It's Sunday, March 17th, 2013, and you've tuned into the Polka Melodies. It's 10 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning. It means polka time all the way until noon today. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day. Everybody has a taste of the green for today. Well, good morning and welcome to the Polka Melody Show.